Well, in the gun is, well, I was listening to Wayne Campbell with you boys, I think,
Yes.
earlier in the week. Yeah, was it Wednesday night or
Yep,
Tuesday
was,
night?
was.
Yeah, it was a great interview. He was very honest
you.
and, yeah, he did a great job. Well done, young fella. He spoke about the Matty Rowell situation, how he's seeing other people, and just working out whether he wants to stay still in love with the Suns or wants to move back down to Melbourne. So I thought we would have a bit of fun, you and I, and put those clubs that are pitching to him in the gun. Because if he were to leave the Suns, he's going to choose between 4 clubs. Geelong, Western Bulldogs are the 2 that I'm doing. I'm going to be... If you're presenting on behalf of the Western Bulldogs, what are you selling?
Thank goodness you didn't give me the task of doing the Western Bulldogs.
So I think the sell to him's pretty easy if you're the Dogs. Well, you're going to sell... who you got? You've got Collingwood and... Who's the other one?
What was the other one?
Oh, my God. It was your interview. You just told me you did Essendon it was. You just told me you did a great job of the interview. You've
We didn't mention Essendon, but anyway.
Yes, we did.
So why would he go to
the Western
Geelong?
Bulldogs, you're going because of Bontempelli. You have the twin peaks in the middle there. Bontempelli and Rowell would be unbelievable. They've got a great new facility, elite forwards in Norton and Darcy. Jamara, we're not sure whether he'll be there, but if he is, you've got an opportunity to go there and win a premiership. I think you could go there and seriously impact. But their sell, how would their sell be better than Geelong's sell, for instance? I don't know if they can, because the money's going to be the same. The only thing it would help Ed Richards to have another ranger there. It would certainly help.
It's the perfect replacement for Libba eventually as well.
But that's from a Dogs' point of view. But why would he choose the Dogs? I don't know what the separating factor is, why he would choose the Dogs over and above the other 3.
And it would be hard when there is uncertainty around who's going to be the coach as well. I think you'd want some certainty around that as well. So you would think Geelong's a front runner.
A lot easier, isn't it?
Yeah.
They've got the best coach, they've got the lifestyle, the flexible. It's almost like a flexible lifestyle down there with the times they train. They got your man Holmes, who was 49 in your top 50, or in one of your top 50s. You got Jeremy Cameron, the very end of Patrick Dangerfield. They'll probably do a cotton on deal for him, the Ranger range or something like that. I don't know what they do.
Now I'll go Collingwood. The club sells itself, doesn't it? Like if you're a player that has been off Broadway, like Matt Rowell has been on the Gold Coast, as much as it has lifestyle factors, to come and play for Collingwood would be such a thrill. So I just think the club sells itself. The only but you would have is, what's the list going to look like in 3 or 4 years' time? And is this a Taranto Hopper situation where I join Collingwood on the decline and it's going to be really rough? Like poor old Timmy Taranto and Jacob Hopper that were sold the dream to play in front of 100,000 at the MCG for Richmond every second week, and they're going to be playing in front of 35 and losing by 10 goals. So that would be the only thing that Matt Rowell would have to consider. You wouldn't think that is going to happen at Collingwood, but that's the realistic. It's in play, isn't it, for him?
Yeah.
But it would be a thrill to play for the biggest club in the country with the best resources and the best way to build your brand if that's what you wanted to do, and play in big games every second week and marquee fixtures. So I think they would be right in the mix, provided they can get him.
What about Essendon? How would you sell Essendon?
Well, Essendon is similar. I think to be able to join Essendon with where they are now and be a driving force in turning that club around and becoming a finals force. Can you imagine? Can you imagine the momentum that Essendon would have with those fans behind them once this team starts to become a good side? And they're young, the Bombers. I like the way that they play a reasonably attacking style of football. And if this turns, and when it turns, because it will, in 2-3 years' time, to be a part of that when he's 25, 26 in the absolute prime of his career, it's going to be crazy. Like this Essendon stuff, if they become, and it's a big if, but if they become a finals force again, it's going to be absolutely crazy. So out of those 3, I would think if you're going to go the 4, the front, because I've sort of ruled out the Dogs. If you're going to go front runners, I would go Geelong, Collingwood, Essendon, Western Bulldogs. That's how I would.
Ruled out.
That's what I would rank them.
Well, I just don't know how you could, if you're making a choice, how those 4. And this is the discussion, isn't it? It's all about small advantages, and the way the Hawks did their sell to Josh Battle, I think, has become the template now for all clubs.
So you think he's going?
I just don't know why.
You've been wined and dined by Gold Coast?
I feel like he is going, but I've got no line of sight, and no clarity on that opinion. Apart from, why would you leave? If you're talking about lists and opportunities and all those sorts of things, surely the list at the Suns is better than the lists elsewhere.
All right, you got your little gavel for
Sold.
Grays.com. Sold.
I
In
think
the
the
gun is...
So you went with Cats?
I'm going to go with the Cats, yes.
Okay, I think it'll be the Pies.
A couple of games, one starting tonight. 2 new players for each team. Ben Patton, Tom Hanley. Both are going to debut for the Swans. Of course, Patton was at the Saints. And for the Hawks, Barras and Battle are in. And, they've got a stacked backline, Hawthorn, really. And we wonder how they're all going to sort of manage that and which players are pushed forward at which time of the game. But, Kingy, your first thoughts on this epic game where you will be at the SCG tonight?
Yeah, looking forward to it. It's going to be a belter to get the season up and firing. And when we look at how close we all think the season's going to be, these are the games against like types that take our attention. Only 2 games this weekend's pretty easy. But the 2 things for me that I'm really hot on, what does the Genius do against Heaney? Is it a team tag? Is it a full lockdown, run with type player? Just one man, or do they go head-to-head? It's a risk going head-to-head with this guy because of his form over the last 12 months has been just ridiculous. So I'm looking to see how Sam attacks that. And the second fascination for me is the back 6 at Hawthorn. I don't know if it's quite struck yet. They haven't got their perfect sort of setup, and Barras is the one that I'm watching. I think that
you're a cynic on this.
Oh, well, I just want to see it work before everyone's saying, they got these 2 guys, the backline set. I think Josh Battle's a wonderful asset and going to be a star for them. But I think there's some teething pains at the moment with Tom Barras. Now, they've got 25 weeks to iron them out, obviously, before they worry about this impacting a big final or anything like that. But I just don't think it's plug and play. There's a different mentality with these sorts of intercept defenders. And I do think that McGovern saved him a lot when he was at the West Coast. So they're the 2 things that I'm probably watching. What about you?
Yeah, let's have a watch on that. So I think Battle probably goes to Heaney when he's forward, and Nash will keep an eye on him, I would have thought, when he's in the midfield. But Warner's the one that can rip your heart out as well. So what they do there and whether they can expose him the other way. In terms of individual matchups around the midfield, I don't think it's Hawthorn's way. The finisher, Finn McGuinness, did it for a while, but they've gone away from that and they sort of back in their own method. How attacking can they be? Clearly they want to move the ball with real speed off halfback, probably faster than most teams. Are they going to do that in reasonably tricky conditions? So that'll be a fascination. And then Sydney is just interesting, just the general fact of how they attack and approach the season after last year. They have a number of players under injury clouds. Papley sore, Grundy reportedly sore, and then some key players with Goulden and Mills already out of the lineup. So, no, McLean was interesting for me. Like, he didn't really go with McLean throughout the pre-season. He was basically a mainstay under John Longmire.
So who's the second ruck
last year? So that we'll have to see. Is Amadi going to do the second ruck work? McCartan forward, clearly, and Logan McDonald with him. So, yeah, it's going to be that is going to be interesting for me. But just in terms of how Sydney go about this season under a new coach, because they looked unstoppable at times last year, particularly in the first half. But after about round 12, their numbers dropped off a cliff. They've got to defend better. They've got to be better in the contest. But they do score pretty well off turnover. So we'll watch that closely tonight, Kingy.
The experiment to put McCartan forward. So most coaches will say, well, I want to shore up one end of it. I want an asset that I know that's bankable, if you like. So if you had Blakey down there and McCartan down there and Rampy down, you can load up and be a really good defensive back 6. So they take the fullback out, throw him forward and trust Melican a little bit more, I guess. It does put a lot of defensive responsibility back to Blakey. And maybe he can't freewheel as much as he has over the last couple of seasons. It's a risk. Do you see McCartan being still at full forward in 6-8 weeks' time?
No, I give it 2.
2 weeks?
2 weeks, yeah.
You have to give it 4.
No, I give it 2. I give it 2. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. It's 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Put that on the calendar. Put it on the Bont calendar. Put that on the Bont calendar.
I'll give you 3 weeks.
Give me Give him a round 3, and he'll be starting
The Kogan calendar.
at fullback. All right, the other game, of course,
Hutchie will sell advertising on that
Is-
calendar before the day's out.
a ripper. And there's some players for the Giants that aren't household names. 3 debutants, Angove Hannaford and James Leake, are all on debut for the Giants. Of course, they've been struck by the injury curse as well. Hogan is a huge out. Heard you speak about him on AFL 360 last night, but he put his thumb in the door of a bus and broke it, so he's not going to be there. The package is not going to be there either. And for the Pies, of course, they welcome a couple of new players, Perryman and Membry. Houston's going to have to wait. I did notice before the Hogan injury, the Giants were starting favourites in this game. That has completely flipped. Collingwood will start favourites. How do you see this one, and how do you see the Giants, firstly, as a whole this year?
Interesting, isn't it? What are they going to do with Nick Dacos is going to be the chat, really. Is it Bedford again? Do they go that way? I think
You have to, don't you?
I think Kingsley likes to try and disrupt the opposition's best player, if not the best player in the comp. You have to do something. It's just hard to work out this early in the year which way coaches are going and what they've been working on. So we'll wait and see. And if it is to be that way, look at the role of Houston's fascinating me. I just think everyone's saying, he's a halfback. He's just going to play. He's just going to play there. This is what he's going to be for them. Blah blah blah. Yeah, not sure about that. Not sure. The lineups are interesting. The Giants without Hogan, that can look a bit average forward of the ball. Like Lockie Keefe coming in again.
Still on a list.
My God,
That's amazing
yeah,
that he's still on a list.
For a team that's had unbelievable trading commodities over the last few years, to still have him in the team is so fascinating.
Could Himmelberg go forward and Keefe go back?
Could Himmelberg go forward? Yeah. Well, would Cadman try and get to Darcy more?
Well, they'll do that.
And do that run-around thing?
Yeah, they'll do the runaround, and I think a lot of other teams will do that this year because it was successful. But Hogan is central to that. Now, Cadman and those around are a key piece of that, and they have to be incredibly disciplined. But without Hogan's leadership and the command that he brings, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not sure Cadman and Lockie Keefe or Cadman and Himmelberg will have the same success of doing that. But it's a big year for Darcy Moore. You know, I've spoken a lot and at length about him, but he needs to start the season really well. Last season he started with incredible brain fades, was so unreliable with football in hand, and was too easy to play against. So big year for Darcy Moore. I think Isaac Quaynor is really determined to have a big season after a disappointing one last year. And once again, Collingwood are a really interesting team, as you and I have spoken about a lot for the last couple of months. So
I look forward to seeing what Reef McGuinness can offer, Cornsey.
Yeah.
Back. I like it. Fresh opportunity like this. A young player that didn't work as a forward, really couldn't nail a spot down at full forward or deep forward. So he goes back, and I'm also looking forward to seeing how the talls go forward of the ball. So Membry, McStay, and Myercheck, incredibly dynamic, and their ability to cover the ground to get all the way up, all the way back. They're not pigeonholing a Mason Cox in there, who really doesn't travel as well as these guys. He's there obviously to contested mark, but I think that they look a bit more agile now forward of the ball. I like their lineup. It'll only get stronger as the year gets on, and I know they're older. I understand all those sorts of. These are the games. If Collingwood are going to have a successful year, they have to get hold of a vulnerable Giants.
Yep.
Given the outs.
It's a good time to get the Giants. Unbelievable scenes out west.
Love it.
Unbelievable. Tim Gossage, our man,
Yep.
a walk and talk into work, shirt off at 5 a.m. in the morning. It's just taken off.
It's gone
It's
crazy.
got legs, Kingy.
You know what? I think we should start nominating a couple.
Oh.
I reckon when Jared Waitley does it, it's really arrived. Shirt off, walk and talk.
Look, if we ever got Hutchie to do it, and he was an original walk and talker, by the way.
Yeah,
Hutchie,
he sort of started
Yeah,
this
he did. He started the trend.
in the airport.
But you got to be all in. Now, I'm not
I think
sure.
Dwayne Russell will be an easy get.
Easy get. Easy get.
If you just mention this to
Yeah,
Dwayne, he'd do it.
He's on. I think Fitzner would be an easy get. Fitzmagic.
Oh.
No, easy. And he'd love to look at himself. with
Really?
No top on. Yes.
He'd love to look at himself.
But just check out And it's good that
That's
Tim
gold.
Gossage is on
Mate.
X at the moment because you never know which day he may
No,
delete
don't
the
ha-
app.
Don't hang shit on him.
But this is why you stay. This is
why I love Goss. He's prepared to have a laugh at
Oh,
himself.
it's unbelievable.
I love that.
It's
There's a
unbelievable.
bit of nims about the hair sort of creeping on the
Yeah, a
shoulders area.
few grey hairs up there, but
needs to
it
get
doesn't matter. He's all in.
Sugar wax on him as well.
I haven't listened to what he said yet in the walk and talk.
Well, he
but
didn't
I'm
start. He didn't start with what are my
What
thoughts.
Okay,
That's
well,
where he let himself down.
He'll learn. He'll learn. Dwayne's in. He's just text. He's on board. The agenda, Kingy. What's on your agenda? What's on?
That took 30 seconds. Be a little bit hard to get, Dwayne, please. Play a little bit hard to get. Oh my God.
What's on
I'm in.
What's on your agenda?
I just wonder. I want to talk to our ballers out there this morning. Did they love the AFL approach, or do they like or love the NRL approach regarding the Cyclone to rip the Dolphins and the Rabbitohs game from out of the Cyclone area down to New South Wales? Do they love that? Do they think that the game just needs to push on? Or do you have empathy for the families and of the players and the homes and those sorts of things? I just wonder which approach.
What do you think?
I think the AFL did the right thing. And if you're going to have values as an organisation that preach family first and all those sorts of things, then it's the right approach. The NRL have just said, no, bugger it. The game goes forward at all costs.
Yep, I agree with you. The information coming out around Jamari Ugle-Hagan has been since Sammy Edmund was the first one to go with it on our program. So well done to Sammy for that. But Scott Gullen wrote a pretty insightful piece on just to what has led to this, and went inside the change rooms before the elimination final against Hawthorn, where it can be revealed that the coach had been concerned about Ugle-Hagan's state of mind in the lead up to the game, which I guess resulted in an intense discussion between the players led by the skipper, Bontempelli. Sounded like in the rooms, like an hour or so before
2 hours.
they're set to run out. Surely you make the call then? Like if you are 2 hours before a game, meeting with the leadership group and the captain, discussing a player, how distracting would that be ahead of a big final? I'm not sure, and hindsight's wonderful, but in hindsight, do you think the coach just goes, no, I'm not sure about this. I'm not getting the players involved. I'm not distracting them, taking their minds off the big game. I'm just withdrawing him. We can say he's got the flu or he's under the weather or he's not in the right state of mind to play. You bring the next man up. In the end, there was a compromise to start Ugle-Hagan on the bench. He didn't touch the footy. The Western Bulldogs got smacked after being the hottest team leading into the finals. That was an error, wasn't it?
Well, it's easy to correct these things in hindsight.
As if from that
I
moment,
think
they were
Bevo-
never winning that game.
I think Bevo didn't want to play him, and he told the leadership group, they said, we need him, and he got talked down. I think.
This is the thing. What's wrong with the coach just being able to make a hard call now? Everyone feels like, we've got to better get everyone involved. Let's get the players. Let's get the players' partners involved.
You have to talk to the captain.
Well, do you? You're the coach. Yeah. Make a hard call. Like we spoke to Dennis Pagan this morning. You reckon Dennis Pagan would have been bringing in the leadership group 2 hours in the change rooms before a big final if he was not certain about the state of mind of a player? It's just got too much input from everywhere. I think surely Luke Beveridge has got the power and the standing in the game to go, you know what? I don't want to play him. I'm not playing him.
But if you empower your leadership group, you empower them. You can't have it both ways.
I don't think you always have to empower them, though. I still think there's room for a coach to make the final call. Real legs with the walk and talk.
Oh, yeah. This is taken off. You're going to have to do another one, I think.
I will. I actually will.
Yeah.
Just got to find a topic.
Where are you comfortable doing? What's the most outrageous spot you'd do one? Like I think the safety of the beach was a nice soft landing for you.
I think the beach is. I'm not going to walk down and run the mall with
Why
the top
not?
off doing it. Should I?
Yes. That's what I'm looking for. Yeah, I'm Kane Kingy. I've got my shirt off. Yeah.
What are my thoughts?
I'm walking and talking. Why not?
Hey,
Could you do one as you left the office today?
No, because I've got to race to the airport, so I won't have time.
Do a really awkward one in the Uber then.
Just before we go at 9, I will be revealing I won't have time to put the official Four Corners investigation to it.
Oh, no, hold it then, hold it.
No, I can't because it's time. I'm time conscious because it needs to be addressed before Sunday, and we're not on until Monday.
Okay.
So this is breaking news in relation to a football show that airs on Sunday mornings.
Yep.
And we'll address that before 9 o'clock. But we'll continue with the agenda because you've been hot, not as hot as Jared Healy, I must say, because he's been obsessed by pushing the back for.
No, but I'm not pushing the back. I'm pushing the pack.
Pushing the pack. Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
it's different. It's different.
Is it different?
The full forward leading and then getting pushed into the pack.
Okay.
I'm not worried about pushing the back. I'm not worried about where they push him.
Okay, I'm glad we clarified that.
No, I'm not. That's not what I'm here for. I think the AFL had to come out and say something about this. We haven't heard from them on it. Why haven't we heard from them on this issue that's creeping into the game?
Mick Burney spoke. I'm not sure whether he's the right spokesperson for it, but
he can't change anything.
No, he doesn't have the power to change anything. No, but he did sort of clarify.
Terrific. Clarify all you like, but how about someone coming out and saying, "Hey, listen, we're looking at this, and this has got to stop." We've got 2 games this weekend. If we have another one, will they just create a report?
I don't want.
It'll happen. You watch.
I don't want players reported for that.
I know you don't, but we don't want players concussed because they're leading for the ball.
I know. On my agenda, we spoke about the Hawks documentary, as a lot of people have done, but I want to do something a little bit unique with you this year because AFL assistant coaches are the most neglected people in football. And they are so important. And if you watch the doco and if you've spent time at a footy club, you'll understand this. And you've spoken about pit crews and how important they are and all of that. They don't get paid like everyone else in the industry. They work as many hours. They're so important to the makeup, the psyche, the morale of football clubs. So I want to shine a light on the assistant coaches this year. And I want you and I to come up with an assistant coach of the week. And at the end of the year, we'll have our assistant coach of the year. So one assistant coach we're going to give an award to every Monday. It's going to be assistant coach of the week. Have a listen to this.
I'm taking one off the table though before you can't.
No.
We can't stay close to home.
No. There's no.
You can't give your brother.
There's
any
no
love.
nepotism. There's no nepotism here. He's not going to get it. He won't win it. But have a listen to this gold from Cade Simpson on Full Sweat.
Run me through what this is. Why did I start writing it like that?
Defend first.
Beautiful. We're not expecting to make mistakes, but they're going to happen. The game's full of them. We want the opposition, off one of our f***ups, want the opposition to still have to win 1 to 2 contests before they can get a goal.
I love that. Win 1 to 2 contests before they can get a goal. We're going to make mistakes. He's got defend first. He's got the defend part in all caps. So I'm going to give Cade Simpson the Assistant Coach of the Week award for the first time. And Kingy and I are going to do it. I just think they need a lot more love than what they get in the game. And if you, at your club, want to recognise the performance of your forward line, your team defence, which a assistant coach might look at, you can text that through each and every Monday.
Can I while we're still on the agenda, can we just go back one conversation? What role does the manager have in all this Jamara situation? Like, how does it get to this point when they're so closely monitored by their managers? They're paying them good money these days to represent them and look after them. They've got to do more than contracts. How is it allowed to get to this stage?
Well,
there's a real concern for me. And I think that the managers have, it's all well and good to be putting your hand up when things are swimming, or you're going with the tide. I'm wondering when was this notified as an issue with Jamara, with his manager, and what did they do about it?
I mean, I don't actually know who his manager is. I've got the feeling it's the Connor stable, but I'm not certain on that. So someone will.
Well, I think it is.
Through.
I think it's Robbie DeRazio. I'm not necessarily going at Robbie. I'm just saying if this is your bundle.
What if they've tried, but like Clayton Oliver's manager? What if they just tried and tried and tried?
When did you know?
And nothing was getting through.
When did you know, and what did you do? So it's a simple question. I'm not trying to hang anyone, but when did you know, and what did you do? What were the steps? Did you approach the club and say, we've got a problem here, we've got to do something here? We need to do something different because what we're doing is not working?
I'd love to speak to the managers more, actually. I'd love them to...
An honest conversation about this. Why don't we try and get Robbie on next week?
I would love that. I would love them to, particularly the powerful ones, because behind the scenes they're as powerful people in football as there is. I'd love them to be a little bit more visible and approachable and available to the media, because they might be doing amazing things for Jamara. I think you're right. We'd love to hear that, because they do take their 2 or 3% these days.
Not sure. Not sure what it is worth these days, but when you're talking a player of that sort of calibre, the money's big.
And the PA and the role that the AFL Players Association have in supporting a
They wouldn't
player like
know
this.
as early as the manager, though.
Probably not.
No.
Not.
So if your finger on the pulse with your high level talent, then these, I just wonder. I just want to know the steps, and they may ring in and say, "This is what we did, A, B, and C. It's not for public consumption. That's fine." But it's got to this point. So what have we done in the lead up to this point?